Sorry about that. I am not sure what happened there. It's really getting obnoxious. Do apologize for that. Sorry for the loss of stream there. My ISP at 11 o'clock every night likes to decide it's just not going to cooperate. I need to get in touch with them. Alright, Spaceship Exterior gray. Again, if you're just returning, I do apologize for the loss of stream. My ISP internet provider likes to decide it's not going to provide me internet service between 11 and 11:04, sorry, between 10:50 and 10:50 or 11 o'clock every night. I don't know why. Likely having something to do with changing IP addresses. I don't know. It's getting really obnoxious though. Because then I lose my streamers. Or my viewers, not my streamers. Alright. So getting the Spaceship Exterior on some of the smaller straps here. Noticing some areas where I missed getting some yellow on there, so I'll go back and touch those up with this fine brush here in a little bit. Welcome back to the stream if you're coming back. Thanks for hanging out through all of the technological difficulties as I get these taken care of. I promise the stream is just going to get better because of it. All right. I have decided we're going to paint the hose on his back black. Along with the connector. But I need to grab some fresh black out of there. Sorry for my dogs barking. Apparently, they think there's something to bark at out there. If you're just joining the stream, feel free to say hi. I like interacting with my viewers. It's the word I was looking for in there. The stream was viewers rather than followers and all the other things. Alright. The this chest piece in all the reference photos that I've seen. There's a little box on it that's a dark gray. So let's go ahead and take care of that. Maybe. Let's get a uniform gray for that. So, Army Painter uniform gray. And then Bossk is about to get beheaded here in a minute so that I can paint the collar around his neck. If you're not familiar with my page, thanks for coming by as well. I am streaming more frequently. While I do mostly Star Wars Legion miniatures, I do paint a very large variety of things. I was painting some, I think they're called dungeon doggies, last night and the night before. And then I do board game miniatures. I do a lot of stuff, so. Alright, let's get that yellow into those couple areas that I had mentioned on the stream that I had missed. As I throw my paintbrush on the floor. Or one of my brushes, at least. While I'm thinking about it, get that yellow in there. The Survivor. Oh, so Matt, that's from a game called Brick City, and they made a knockoff of Guy Fieri from the Food Network and other food type fame, and they put it on there. So he's famous for wearing some of those fiery shirts and blah blah blah. I'm not done yet, Dan. I'm just getting it base coated. It's getting there though. Alright. His color is red. Definitely red. The problem is, what color red? I have a much more muted... Actually, I think I like this Abomination Gore color better for it. So, another color I haven't used yet. Into the paint pot goes a stainless steel ball bearing. Fieri, F-I-E-R-I, Guy Fieri, F-I-E-R-I, I think it is, G-U-I space, F-I-E-R-I. So, just putting some good old-fashioned elbow grease to shaking this paint up. As you have to do with army painters when you first get them out, open them up. But once you get that initial shakedown of a few minutes... Michael, it's live, but Facebook has a small delay. So, I get like... takes 30 seconds or so. Takes 30 seconds or so before I see what you say, and then 30 seconds or so before you hear what I respond to. I don't know why Facebook does it. It's a issue with Facebook itself. I was talking to another streamer today. Actually, the guy at the store where I ended up getting my PC that I bought today, he streams as well, and so I think he said he streamed, like, I don't know, he does some kind of vape stream or something like that. But there's an 8-hour limit typically, but what happened is my internet cut out. So when my internet cuts out, I lose the stream. Facebook isn't the best streaming platform. I don't know, they all have their pluses and minuses. Facebook is better for natural viewership, like people that just happen across your video. YouTube's better for different things. Twitch is better for different things. Facebook is more convenient for me since I use it for the rest of my painting stuff. All right. Let's put his head back on here in a second. Let that dry for a minute. I'm going to let him dry up for a second before I touch him too much more. Because we are getting just about to where we're almost done with our base coating. Michael, I'm thinking of making a switch to YouTube here soon, or dual streaming. So I might be able to do Facebook and YouTube. We will see. I need to do a little more research. Right now, I'm just trying to get one stream working regularly, and then once I get this, so this is consistent, then I'll make the switch to YouTube. I don't want to switch to YouTube as well until I'm fairly consistent about it. But thanks for stopping by, Michael. I'll probably be streaming again tomorrow night, so look me up. Beasting update. If you watched our stream last night, it's gotten larger. I'm not quite sure what's going on with all that. I know Twitch doesn't like cross streams, which is why I'm not considering Twitch right now. Just sitting letting some paint dry real quick for a minute. And looking over some photos to make sure that I've got everything how I want it to look. It was a wasp actually, not a bee sting, but yeah. Bee is just what came to mind. But wasps are jerks. Alright. I got some of his nail polish, or, you know, skeleton bone that I was using for his nails onto his toes, so I need to clean up an area here. Couple of the ridges on his shirt didn't take the yellow as well as I would have liked, so do some quick touching up there. I'm going to keep futzing with this and then mess it up. I'm doing the... You never answered me, so I'm doing the grenade and rifle. But, to be completely honest, these arms fit real tight in the sockets, and so you could almost make them interchangeable without magnetizing. Like, they're some of the best fitting arms that I've done in Legion yet. Also, if you don't care to, I only shared this to the Star Wars Legion group. If you think of any other groups that you want to share this to, I know there's the painting group, there's a couple others. I didn't want to spam them too much with multiple posts. Feel free to pass it around out there. I would greatly appreciate it. Alright, clean up some of my paints while I'm here, put them away. We're going to pop his head back on so I can darken up his mouth just a little bit before we get a wash in there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to touch up some of the fine metallic details that are on there so that when it gets washed they look much better. So, like each one of these little things around his ankles are metallic colored. Bring my gunmetal gray back to life with some water. Again, that's, I can't express how much I like my wet palette for that reason. That my paints are easy. They may appear dry on the surface, but a little bit of water and they come right back. But yeah, so he's getting the pose that everybody's doing. Grenade and rifle. Alright. Touch up a spot where I got a little bit of red over onto the white. And I'm going to use that same Abomination Red that I was doing for his eyes. He's coming to life. Slowly but surely. Here's where we're at. Alright. We will give him a minute to dry. Let me get his dew claws on the back of his leg real quick. Sorry, I can't handle whatever music they are playing. We're gonna switch to some chip tunes. Because that I can handle. Reminiscent of old days. Yeah, I think Bossk is looking pretty good if I do say so myself. We're going to try to get some color onto his teeth real quick. Because I really want the wash when I do it to make the teeth look dirty and, you know, unkept. Okay. Touch up something with some of that yellow ochre. Alright. Give that a quick second to dry. Get his arms stuck back on. And then we are ready for our washing. Like I said, the arms are a tight fit. That's for sure. So what I'm going to do is, the first thing I'm going to quote-unquote wash is I'm going to take this Tox grenade, and I have a jungle green that I think is going to be perfect. Thank you, Dan. Jungle green I think is going to be a perfect color for that toxic look. So I'm going to make a glaze out of that and really thin it down with some water so that it pools in the recesses on the grenade, but it'll still somewhat tint the metal as well, as if it's almost glowing-ish. Pulled too much paint off. So that's... I don't know if you can see that well. It'll show up better in the pictures, I am afraid. I'm not sure how that happened, but got some yellow in my gray over here. As well as that red's not covering with this gray robe. We got it. Well, I appreciate your faith. He's got eyes. I don't know if you can see him on there, but he has eyes. Let's see if I can... Oh well. It'll show up in the pictures. The last thing I'm going to do with his eyes is a little bit of sun glare. I saw the card for Grievous, and he looks sick, and I am super excited because, to be honest, while I love Empire, the thought of putting droids on the table is amazing to me. I just love battle droids. I'm not a huge fan of the first prequel movies, but I love battle droids in general, for various reasons. I can see what you did there, huh? Let's see, does that come through? Let me see if I move my light up behind my camera, if it'll wash it out too bad. Here's where we're at. I think we're on a great start right now. So, as soon as I'm confident that he's done drying, we will get some washing him. Alright, so I'm going to close up this wet palette for a minute, because if I don't, I'm going to keep just doing random little things that I really don't need to be doing until I'm ready to wash him, or ready to do the fine details, highlights, everything like that. If you're just joining the stream, thanks for stopping by. Glad to have you. We're having fun painting Bossk together, showing you some little tips, techniques, and things that I do to paint. Been working on this guy for, I don't know, better part of 2 hours roughly, and he's 100% base coat. We're ready to wash as soon as the base coat's done drying, which should be at just a few minutes here. So, you know, I know a couple of you are interacting with me. Glad to have you. I will likely turn this into the, maybe, cut this video down into, make it a tutorial. We'll see. I just have to remember what colors I use. Have to watch the video again because I mentioned my colors. mean, you could honestly put this guy on the table as this and call him done, but we're gonna push him to the next levels. The drying lets me do my favorite thing in one of my favorite things in the hobby, and which is peeling paint out of the paint wells of my, I don't know, I'm weird like that. Do I have a base for Bossk? Ta-da! Bossk base. Speaking of, I can do that. I can get this painted up black so it's drying. Black paint and primer. Sorry for the camera shake. And when I'm painting the bases, when I'm base coating the bases, I put a glove on so that I don't get paint all over my hands, because I just do it all messy like. And just let it sit off to the side and dry while I do other things. Oh, here's the other thing you missed, Dan. Alright, I would venture to guess Bossk is done. So I think for Bossk, we're going to go with a soft tone, if I have any. We might end up with strong tone. Let's see. Dark. Empty bottle of soft, it looks like. There's like a little... there's enough for Bossk. So we're going to go with a soft tone on his uniform. We're going to go with a dark tone, strong tone with maybe a tint of green in it, touch of green in it for the skin. And then we're going to water down some dark tone for everything else. So, and as I here goes. I'm using the wrong brush. So I'm going to brush it on, and then I'm going to try to get as much of it out of it there as possible. So everything except the white and the skin is getting this. You can think Army... What do you mean by think AP washes? I use almost everything Army Painter, 100% across the board. I have 3 GW paints that I use because I can't find the equivalent colors in Army Painter. If I ever find them, those 3 are by the wayside. And honestly, one of those 3 I have replaced with a different flesh tone. So it was Bugman's Glow for the longest time. But now I use tanned flesh, I think it is, which is close. Excuse me. So get this brushed off and on, and then we'll go back and take off some of it off of the higher areas. Oh yeah, you can thin them. I thin them all the time. And I use usually when I thin them out too far, I put in a little bit of Liquitex Flow Wade, because it tends to reduce their ability to flow once you thin them some. We're also going to use this soft tone across the nails on the hands and feet, because it's not too heavy for, it doesn't completely wash everything out. And then we're going to brush this in the mouth as well. And the last area I want to use this on is the gun stock. So it's a good brown. The strong tone has a slight tint of green to it on its own, but my music is I got a message that said my video was partially muted because it contained music from somebody else. Even though I'm using Pretzel Radio, which is royalty-free radio. Okay, like I said, I got a pop-up that said my video is partially muted because it contained music that belonged to somebody else. All right, let's do the dark tone areas real quick. We'll thin out some of this dark. Yeah, Pretzel rocks. Alright, so on his chest piece here, I'm using a thinned out dark tone. And then on the neck piece, I'm just going with pure dark tone, no thinning. Around the feet and legs, we're going to go with just pure dark tone around the cuffs. Same thing on the gun. just straight dark tone here on the rifle. And I didn't forget his toes, Matt. And I want this buttstock to be just a little bit darker than the rest of it, so we're going to hit it with some dark tone. Give it a little bit of character. And then on the grenade, first thing I'm going to do is lift my lamp up because I keep hitting my head on it. Probably put it a little more directly overhead so we get better light out of it. Have a good night, Dan. Here's where we're at with the wash so far before we do anything to the skin. Alright, and then for my skin tone, we have strong tone that we're going to do in about a 3-to-1 ratio with some green tone mixed in. Or I think I'm actually going to go with, I think it's called Military Shader. Because it's a little more earthy. Yeah. Military Shader. And I think that'll come together nicely. Perfect. All Bossk. This was a good choice for a wash. So 3 parts dark tone, 1 part Military Shader. And we're going to go ahead and hit the toes with that as well. And then here comes the face wash. I know I'm washing over the eyes, that's okay, I'll get it fixed. Did that on purpose. If you're watching out there in Facebook land, feel free to shoot me a message, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Alright. Just gotta wait for washes to dry and then we'll finish him up. Forgot to wash the cuffs on his jacket here. Here's where we're at. give them a couple minutes to dry. While that's happening, I'm going to step away for a minute and take a short break, and we will be back in just a few minutes. Alright, I am back. Thanks for sticking around for a minute. Had to go get something to drink. Needed to check on my 3D printer in the other room, make sure it hadn't detached itself from the print bed or anything. I'm really liking how this Bossk is turning out. So, missed a spot on his wash though, now that I'm looking at it. He's still drying, so we'll give him a minute. And show some of the other projects that are be coming up on the stream here shortly. So I have a Sabine that is all put together and primed and ready to go with the zenithal highlighting. It doesn't really show through on my painting. I use it to help show where the highlights and the shadows are going to be. If you're going to contrast paint, I could see where zenithal highlighting would come through very well, but I don't use the contrast paints, and I likely never will. Also, I have to finish these dungeon doggies I've been working on. I've got to get some of those done. I have a Celebration Vader I need to paint for a customer. I have 2 tanks I need to paint for him as well. I'm trying to decide how to stream the tanks best, because I use 90% airbrushing for the tanks. So I think if I get to where I'd stream them, what I'll probably do is I'll have to mute my mic for most of that stream, because my compressor, while it's not loud, it's not quiet either. I'd also have to change my camera setup a little bit for streaming that, because it won't look over my airbrush thing right now. So, we will see. I know they say get a... And I do have a Games Workshop somewhat local, but I like my Army Painter paints. I have a whole lot invested into my Army Painter paints as far as money and collection. I'm just not... I don't know. I'm not a huge GW fan for different reasons. Don't get me wrong, their paints are great. I just don't. Not going to discuss it. We'll leave it off my stream. In case I try to monetize these I don't want to get in trouble for bashing anybody, if that makes sense. Well, just about getting there. Just about dry across the board. You're right, no harm in trying. The only harm would be to my pocketbook, and it's what it comes down to essentially is, do I want to buy more stuff that I want to play with, or do I want to buy some paints when I know I have paints that I already like? And to be honest, I would have saved some time on these contrasting, but I'm not going to get the same level of quality either, if that makes sense. Let me be clear, I think they're a great addition to the hobby world. I think they're great for people that have plastic miniatures that are dead, lifeless, and gray right now, and they just want to get some paint on there. Perfect. That's where the window is for it. Just picking up some hot glue on my hand holder while I'm... Oh, yeah, maybe I'll take a model down there or something. I've never been in the Games Workshop store. I don't play any of their miniature games, so... Alright. Get my palette opened up. And it looks like the yellows on his shirt are... or his uniform are dry enough that, or dried up so we can paint on them. Give my paint a shake. So with my highlighting, I'm going to go with my fine tip brush. Get it thinned out to where I want it. Test it out here. Still not quite thin enough for me. Okay, I'll keep that in mind, Matt. Appreciate that info. So, for the highlights here, I'm just going to get the parts of the folds that stick out. I want to leave some of that brown in there. I know it's not necessarily canon, but it makes it look like it's worn, if that makes sense. So we're taking this paint and we're really hitting the tops of the folds that jut out from his uniform. I did that with Reaper paints at a local, just a real small board gaming convention that was in town. And by small, like, it was mostly people playing Pathfinder. But one of the ladies in my local area, she is one of the people that wrote the Reaper she wrote one of the Reaper How to Paint books that you get with their kits, or she was a contributing artist at least, and she holds paint classes at Gen Con regularly, and so she's very heavily sponsored by Reaper. So she brought all her stuff out, and it was nice to try them. Again, I still preferred my Army Painter, and we got to keep the miniatures that we took, we practiced on there, and I took my 8-year-old son and he got to paint his first mini there, and really, he absolutely fell in love, and now he has a small box of miniatures that he is working on. And he sits right next to me he sits right next to me while I'm at my paint desk, usually, if it's during the day, before he goes to bed. So he has a Legion army, but he wants me to paint those for him. If you scroll back to my page around right before Christmas time, you can see his Legion army. It's the red and black theme Imperials that I painted for him. There's a red and black ATST on there that I really like, and I kind of wish that I would have kept for myself, but he loves it too, so I'm glad. So we're just picking out some of the folds in the uniform here. Really just sticking to those that would catch the light directly with the yellow. We're not going to do much more than that, because I really want this uniform to look worn, like he's been around the block a little bit. If you're watching this and you haven't, please feel free to head on over to my page and give me a like. I would greatly appreciate it. Just helps. It will help you know when I stream, for one. You can turn on notification. Yeah, honestly, I find everything I need in Army Painter. I really do. Again, minus those couple of colors that, realistically, I could get by if I didn't have them. They're available, so why not use them? I really, 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 really dislike the fact that GW paints don't come in a dropper bottle. Like, that seems like such a easy problem to remedy, but monetarily and from a business standpoint, I understand why they don't come in a dropper bottle. But that's kind of the number one complaint I've heard. Alright, with just some simple highlighting, here's where Bossk has come up to now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull a little bit of my yellow out, and then I'm going to grab some of my Spaceship Exterior gray. We're going to mix those together just to take some of the contrast out of that, and we're going to hit some of the extreme highlights here. So tip of his elbow, top of his shoulder. We'll get some of the extreme tips of the folds that stick out, knees. We might take it all the way up. No, we're not going to take it all the way up to white. This is cloth, so the more you highlight, the shinier the material is going to look. I agree. I don't like these flip lids that are on these, because they get clogged and hard to close, and then they dry out, and it really makes me irritated when my paints dry out. So that's another reason that I just refuse to use GW paints really anymore. And that's what happens when you shake. You get paint into one of the recesses. But a little bit of water and that problem is remedied. Alright, we're going to grab a little more of that gray, and we're going to go just a touch lighter. Almost pure gray. I said I wouldn't do it, but we're going to. And we're really just going to spot some of these folds. Not too much, again, because we don't want to make it look like we're super shiny here. But we do want to give some contrast, so. Alright. Missed a spot on his leg that I want some more color on. We'll call that a day for that. We're going to spin around and we're going to grab our yellow, or our sulfide ochre that we're using as a skin color. And I'm going to skip really the base tone highlights on this one. And I'm going to grab just a touch of that moon dust and mix it in, along with apparently a whole bunch of water that was on my brush. We can fix that. By pulling it over here, and we just want to lighten it, and we're going to go do some touching on the scales, just some tip touching, not too much. Again, just trying to bring out some of the color here. Give those scales some semblance of color without messing things up like I did. To be honest, I may dry brush them. We'll see. I hate dry brushing, but they're just really super fine. And for this, I'm going to use paint just a little bit thicker than I normally would. We're not going to hit every scale going underneath. We're just going to get the ones on the tops of the arm. And it's the insides and outside. Top of the nose, right in front of the mouth, above the eye. So the brow ridge above the eye. Right under the eye. On both sides. You can take your Bossk as far as you want to, as far as the highlighting goes. He's got a ton of opportunities for highlighting, really making him look great. He's also got a lot of opportunities for you to mess up your shading. So I'm not talking as much on this one. I'm concentrating pretty hard on this part, on his face. What I'm doing, I am using the base ochre tone along these plates on his head. And then what I'm going to do is go back and get the ridges of those with, grab a dry brush real quick. I got some paint water places I didn't want it. I will grab the lighter tone and go across the ridges of the skull layer. Here's my lighter tone, and we're going to hit, he's got this ridge that runs up the center line of his skull. And the tips of his ears, make sure those are highlighted up. And then the very edge of his lip, just to give it some good contrast there. Here's where we're at on that face. Touch up some of the scales on the other arm. Top of this ridge on his hand. He's got it on both sides, so we're going to do that on both sides. Take some of these highlights a little bit further over on this side without blobbing it everywhere. Good job. Go me. You could dry brush this if you wanted to. I just don't like the dusty look that dry brushing gives. It's a personal thing, so... I mean, there's a time and a place for it. Organic things typically don't need to look dusty and dirty. Alright. Highlight the legs, scales. Again, we're just doing this on the areas that the light would hit. And we're hitting less of the scales as we go down the sides of the legs and arms. And that's how we're giving it. We're going to give it that effect of darker and lighter shades. tops of the toes down here. Just the very ridges of them. Alright, here's where we're at as far as our Bossk. For our wood on our rifle, I'm going to grab a little bit larger brush, pull some of this off onto the side, and then I have a, what color is this? Fur brown that I'm going to mix in with some of my base tone and give it more of a wood look. And we're going to highlight some of the tops of it there. Make it look well worn. So really thin that paint out and let it just kind of naturally streak a little bit without pooling. And then for my gun, grab some of this gunmetal gray, and we're going to just do some streak highlighting on different parts of the gun. Almost dry brushing with it. And then for the teeth, we're going to grab just some straight Spaceship Exterior gray. Remember, we've already got that base tone on there, and we're really just going to pick out some small areas on the teeth for it to look like he's got teeth. Remember, he's a bounty hunter lizard. He doesn't take care of them. I'm positive he does not take care of his teeth very well. 100% sure, I promise. I'm going to take the nostril flares just up a little bit higher on a highlight color. And right in front of the mouth. And then same thing right above the eyes, under the eyes, I mean. And above them. Really want to draw attention to that face, so people's eyes are naturally drawn to lighter areas. It's just this one shadow is really bothering me in here. So we're going to cover it with some yellow and make it look more natural. Yep, there we go. Alright. We've got our Tox Grenade color here. We're going to take some of that jungle green. We're going to reach up here, grab some of our moon dust. We want to brighten up that jungle green just a little bit. And we're going to come back in here in those areas. We're going to touch them up so they glow. Glowy, glowy. We lost some of our eye reflection with the wash, so come back in and touch it real quick. And then I'm going to take some of my gunmetal gray and mix just a touch of the Spaceship Exterior in to lighten it a little bit for another layer of highlights on the gun. And we're just going to do some high level highlighting there. Alright. Come back in for our Spaceship Exterior gray, And we're going to do some highlighting on the vest. So just try to get some of the ridges picked out. Don't worry about getting all of them. You're just trying to give it the illusion of light hitting it. Get as many as you can without messing things up. Like I just messed up, but a little bit of a tongue lick onto my thumb and it'll take care of that. Get some gunmetal gray onto his little buckle on his belt that I missed here. Same thing, he has little canisters on his belt here, so touch some with some metal. We are taking our gunmetal, or not our gunmetal, our Spaceship Exterior gray, and we're just highlighting up some of the ropes and stuff that run along him. Alright, and then we're going to go into our gray that we used on the straps. And we're going to grab some of that Spaceship Exterior and just lighten it a touch, and we will get the highlights. So just the areas that we can see on the front of him. We're not going to push these too far because they seem like they would be very dull sheen. But we want to bring them back from some of that brown that we used on the wash. If they stay somewhat brown on some areas, that is perfectly fine. Again, it gives it that dirty, well-worn look. We're just about finished here. And then we're going to grab just a little bit more Spaceship Exterior and lighten it. And we'll just get some of the top areas. Here we are, mostly done. The last thing I need to do is just basic highlights on some of the black areas. So, grab some of my black, go into my uniform gray and mix the two until I'm happy with where we're at color-wise. just some spot highlighting here and there, just to break up some of that black color. Just about finished. Sorry, forgot one step. We gotta go do some spot highlighting with our red neck piece. So, very carefully, we're going to touch some of the ridges around his collar. But to be honest, we're just going to hit the outside edges of it because it already looks pretty good. There you have it, one complete Bossk. Let's see if I can get him in focus here. The only thing left for me to do is to paint up Dan Wolf Games' custom bases that he's going to do. I'm going to do that off stream because it's nothing super fancy. I just got to do a lava effect on there. I use a pumpkin colored paint, and then I wash them red, or pumpkin colored paint, wash red, and then that's about it. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you hanging out with me tonight. As soon as I finish shooting, or as soon as I finish the base and get them glued on there, I will load up some pictures onto the site, so be looking for that. And then I'm not going to say we will, but we should be back tomorrow and ready to paint some more on the stream. So I'm pretty happy with getting Bossk completed from start to finish in 3 hours with the level of quality that I feel like he turned out with. So thank you so much for coming by. Again, take some time to practice your painting, and I look forward to seeing you the next time that I paint and stream. Have a good night, everyone.